All right, today we're going to adjust my microphone. Today we're going to start setting up our global search. So with this, we're just going to get the kind of major building blocks in place and do a really quick build on the kind of user interface to make this work. Now, you would usually want to use a more robust system like the Elasticsearch or something like that if you're going to be building out a full search functionality. That's a lot of moving parts, and I think we're a little bit early to make that jump. But I do anticipate at some point we'd want to be doing something more advanced. So with this, one thing that we do want to do is make sure that we kind of modularize it that way. We don't have search code litter all over the place. So let's switch over. All right. So I really quickly put together the really base spec here just to get something going. So if we create a user and a person, we sign in, we can go into the search field, and I'm just spitting out the first couple characters of the person's name, and I'm throwing a dash N on the end of this. That way when we fill it out, we're actually gonna hit enter and submit the form. And then we expect the page to have the person.full name. And this doesn't work right now, of course. So with this, because of the form and whatnot aren't wired up, it's not gonna be able to do this submission. We're actually just gonna we're not going to fall into an interesting case here. We'll actually just do this to show you that I'm not lying. We'll just run it, and it actually runs. It couldn't find the name, so yeah. So let's start building this out. So in our navigation, so we just have in here the built-in search that we grabbed from that component from Tailwind UI. So in here, we're going to actually want to make this into an actual form. So we're going to go form with. We don't have a model that we're passing in, so we're going to be doing a URL, and we're going to do a search path. And this actually, we're going to want on here, we're going to want to do a data turbo. For right now, I'm just going to do turbo false, just to disable turbo on this entirely, and we'll be fixing that shortly. So that's now there, and the other thing is, it would be this is a search. A lot of times this just comes as a queue, so I just like to do it for kind of historical reasons. Nothing that's actually relevant there. But if we do that, we can now run our tests, and now it's complaining about the URL naturally. So we can come in here. Now this is going to be a single resource. So this is going to be a resource, not resources. And it's going to be search. And on this, we only want to do the show. All right. And I was expecting this to be yelling about right. If we inspect this, we can see the form action is post. We do not want to post. We want that to be a get. That's still action search. Why does this not have? data turbo false, get. All right, that should now blow up right. Yay. All right, let's run that again. And that's really odd. I'm surprised it's giving that error. But we can see from the live browser test that's looking for a searches controller, which it doesn't have. And doesn't have a show. So we'll just create these template files. All right, that now works. So now we actually get to the place where we're wanting to actually spit stuff out. So we can do something like results.each do result. And we'll just do on this. So if we call render on the result, this is going to do all this stuff with partials properly and dynamically. But we don't actually have the results. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that there's a global search.search, and I'm going to pass in that params q, which doesn't exist. That is quite odd. I was expecting that this should be blowing up earlier than that. All right, so it's complaining about global search. Now I'm doing that as a module because right now this is going to access one thing, but down the road this is going to be accessing something else. So this would be something where right now we're going to be using the Postgres search, but then later on we're going to do Elasticsearch. So this gives me flexibility. So I'm going to do a module global search. And what was that? Def self.search. Query. And for right now, I'll just return nothing. All right. So we're actually going to be using for this something called PG search. So we're going to bundle add PG search. And what this does is it uses all the built-in Postgres stuff for doing searching. So with this, we do the include PG search model. And that's going to basically activate a bunch of the stuff onto that class. So we want to be able to search emails. We want to search companies, emails, notes, people, projects, tasks. So let's include that. And the other thing that to do is tell it what to search. So this is the multi-searchable string here, or command here. So for email, we want to be able to search the to, from, subject, and plain text. I'll show you what this is doing in a minute, but this is basically on this model, what are the fields that we're going to be indexing for our search. So multi-search for the note, this is just going to be the, what is it, content? Notes have, content. For the person, we can do full name, the given name, and right now I think that's it. We're probably going to do something with the entity attributes, but I don't know just yet what that will be. For a project, really, I guess it's just the name. All right, project, and for a task, we want the title description. And for the company, it's the name and just the name. Although probably doing something with entity attributes down the road. All right, so that is set up. So let's keep looking through here. So we do also have to do this. So this is actually going to create the database that we're going to be connecting to. And if we take a look at what this is, we can see that we are creating the table. It has content. It has the connection to the model that it's connected to, and some timestamps. So nothing too much going on. So let's get that going, and let's hop over to the terminal and restart the server. I'm actually just going here because one thing that we do need to do still, which is that we already have data in the database, so we need to rebuild things. So if we look right now at the PG search documents, we got nothing. So if we come in here and do rebuild, we can then pass in the models that we want to rebuild. So we want to rebuild the company. Company is not multi-searchable. Oh, I missed including the model. Let's try that again. So if we look at it now, we've got the content that it's able to use, and then it's connected to the company. If we do the same thing for, so we do company, email, note, person, project, and task. Now, one thing to note that this is doing is this is deleting everything that's of that type and then basically re-indexing the whole thing. So if we run the reload this, now we can see what it's actually looking at for that different information. All right, now this obviously is going to be basically do a huge amount of bloat on the amount of data that's in your database. There's also some questions about, because if I look at, you're going to have to take into consideration what data is encrypted. So that's something to be considering as well. Now, the stuff that I'm working with primarily is, for example, the information that's in your email, but that's already publicly accessible. It's not encrypted end-to-end or anything like that. So I'm pretty comfortable with doing this as is for now. But that's something that has to be taken into consideration. Okay, so with that in place, this is where we can now hop into this spot to actually do how we are going to do the search. So, and actually one thing to note is this multi-search is what we're actually going to be using here. This returns a active record relation, which means that you can use it for any other active record stuff that you would normally do. So that works really nicely. So I can do a query there. And now when I reload this, searching for Joe, it's yelling at me because it's missing that partial. Yep. So we can do result.searchable. All right, now it's looking for people, person. So when we do a render, in case you're not familiar, if we do a render, let's say we have a user. When we do render user, what this is going to do is it's actually going to do user/user, and then give a user as result.searchable. That's what this is basically. These two lines are essentially equivalent. What I like to do is have different versions of things. So you might have user, but then you might have user card. So this user would be like, here's my full user. This card might be a short form thing. You might have user row. So if you're using this in a table or something like that, or you might want something like a search result. So this gives you kind of a standard convention. So what I did is built a polymorphic render where I can pass in that searchable, but I can also pass in that kind of that suffix. So I can say search result. So this is basically, if we look at what the default one here is, this is giving people person, so it takes care of the proper pluralization. When I do this polymorphic render, it's going to do the same thing. Actually, so if I even take that off, so it's still looking for people person. But if I throw in here search result, this is now looking for people person search result. So if I go into here, I can do that. And in here, just for the sake of time, I'm going to do render. I don't even have a person. Oh no, person card. That's what I was thinking. And so email search result. Same thing. Now I don't have anything for this currently. Yes, I do have email. All right, so this looks like garbage, but it's just to get something up on screen. So let's do a little bit of something here. Let's do space Y4. All right, so we show Joe below came up for Joe. We also have this email, which is from Joe, so that shows up. And we got, so that's people 5, and that's people 1. So they're different Joe belows. Yes, this is Joe, and the other one's Joe below. If I do a search for, well, it's something else that's in here. Hard. So no hard feelings, that shows up there. It's in there a few times. But it didn't get the company. Let me check my company model. Multi-search against name. That should be there. Macro hard. Yeah, that's in there. So, well, clearly this email view is not going to work. So let's just really quickly do something because it makes it quite hard to read. So we're just going to go to. Actually, let me just grab this. All right. Let me check that email because I'm betting that this is the same issue with that subject, but that's just a guess. Yeah, nope, I'm wrong. Oh, there's something weird encoding going on there. I have to take a look too. Okay. Why is hard? Company's name. I did not expect to be debugging this problem. Multi-searchable against a name. Yep. Doesn't show up for micro. PG search multi search micro. That really ought to be there. Well, it's macro, not micro. That'll do it. Oh, okay. So it's to an incomplete word, which so I do a search for company. I do get other company. I do a search for lowercase company. I do get company. So I'm gonna have to check the docs for yeah, I think I have to check a few of the configurations for this because we do want to get some of these other features. Looking for similarities. So I got to take a look through that to see what they are. And yeah, there's other things like ignoring accent marks. So I get to look through that to see which ones I want to do. Okay, that's fine. So just looking at the data, I can do a search for note, and this is going to put in, yep, note search. So adding in these additional types ends up being pretty bloody fast. So in here we can just do, I don't know, note.description, content. And we got a task. All right, so that's all working good. That's all functional, so that's good. So if we go into the searches, what we actually want to do as well is probably group these. So I'm inclined to say to group them. So that's what I'm going to do for right now. So we're going to group this, and we want to group by their searchable type. And we'll have the searchable type, if I can type, and the results. And we'll do the results again. Dot each, do result. So in here we can do searchable type, and let's just make this into the title. Group by searchable type. All right, so we got this in my note. Tasks. If I do a search for macro hard. Oh, now I didn't set that up. So let's do a search for Joe. So we have, so we are just getting the class name here actually. So we're going to do searchable type dot, I don't know, plural, pluralize. That's better. And let's do that again for macro hard. And let's set up the company. Search result .html.erb. So here we can do something like link to company.name company. Now we can go to macro hard. Do a search for Joe. Those are linked already because we're just putting in the card. So this is your basic search setup. So let's look at the diff on this. So there's a bunch of stuff, files changes, but we've got a stupid small shim here that's going to let us switch out to Elasticsearch at some point. We're including the model and saying what we want to be able to search on. I'm sorry, I had to look at the controller, not. That's our super small shim. What are we searching? What are we searching? What are we searching? What are we searching? And then we have, so let me check. We've got company, companies, email, note, person, don't have a project. So we'll finish that. We have our task. We have our search views, we have our navigation update, we have our routes. We're adding that to the schema and so those all seem reasonable. We just need the task, the project. So what projects do I even have in here? CRMmy. Project search result. So new project search result.html.erp. All right, that's not working. All right, so that is global search. That is up and running and working. Now, one thing that I am explicitly being honest about here is that this is global search, which means that you can search any account's information, which is a problem. So we are going to have to put a constraint on here, and that's also why I put that want to have that shim in place. So we're going to actually be able to say search for term on account. And that's going to be able to let us make sure that we're scoping it down to the proper account and not doing just a general universal global search. So that's going to be something that's up on the to-do list then. But with that in place, it means that we are using Postgres stuff they already have. It's easy to add. It's easy to remove down the road. We can re-index all of our models, and that just all works. What that include that we're doing into the models does is it has a few lifecycle callbacks. So when you update and save stuff, it's going to automatically refresh that index. So that's going to be just an active live search. There's a few things to take into consideration with that. So if you have dates and stuff that change, if something's published or not, then that's something that we'll have to take into consideration. But again, that's, those are some edge cases. But that edge cases happen. But this kind of gives you nice, quick, simple. Because the way we built the system with the partials and that kind of polymorphic, we can really easily swap those in. Right now they're kind of garbage. We're going to have to build those out properly. But we quickly have built in the basics of global search. That's going to be able to look at all of your companies, all your contacts, all of the information in them, all of your emails. All of that is now instantly available. So that's the global search. All right, take care.